Deniz Bolbol, and then Suzanne.
Well, first of all, I'd like to start off with the strategy document that you all are going to be making recommendations on. And basically, I think you need to take into account that, and I'm in the process, I've been waiting for 4.5 months for my FOIA request to be answered to the BLM. I've asked for all the 9,000 comments that they say they've received, because and I'm going to be able to prove it when I get these comments, that this strategy document does not accurately reflect the comments they received. I believe that they selectively chose one-off or comments that were received by a few and misrepresented them as representing the majority, and I think they undermined the majority opinions on many issues. So I think that you need to take that into consideration. As soon as I get these public comments, we've also heard discrepancies about the number of comments they've received, so we're going to get to the bottom of that. But I really think that fundamentally this document is flawed based on that. But being that we have the document as it is, I'd like to urge this board to consider the following recommendations. Number one, for animal welfare, while I obviously disagree with the glowing remarks that were made by the AHPA observer program or pilot observer program report, I think that you all should seriously consider and should recommend one of the recommendations that was made in that report, and I think it has great merit. And I don't think anyone here, no rancher is going to have a problem with this. We need video cameras on the helicopters,
Yes.
at the track sites, at the processing centers. I mean, there's no reason that this agency shouldn't be accountable and that we shouldn't be able to see how our tax dollars are being used. I've talked to many ranchers out in the field when I've been at roundups, and everybody says, we might disagree on what should be done, but we agree you should have access and we agree you should be able to see what's going on. So I'm hoping that's a recommendation that this board will make. Also with regards to the sustainable herds category, under the fertility control, and they call it fertility control and population suppression. I support fertility control. I think right now that what the agency's proposing, 2,000 horses and with the removal of 7,600 for the next 2 years, it's lopsided, upside down, to be quite frank. I mean, you can manage these horses on the range without removal. We need to stop the removals. We need to stop continuing to dig the fiscal black hole of warehousing horses in government holding facilities. And, when Renee was asking, I forgot her name, the acting director, about are you going to stop removals and how are you going to maintain an ecological balance? Well, I challenge, why don't you all pay for long-term holding? Why don't all the ranchers go pick up the tab for $50 million a year and you pay for long-term holding, since you all are the ones that want the removals? Number two.
Remember respecting each other's interests.
And number two, with regards to fertility control population suppression, I think, the BLM has this tendency to say, oh, well, if you don't like what we do, or you want us to round up in family bands, you need to give us scientific, peer-reviewed studies to show that family bands are important. Well, I want the scientific peer-reviewed studies that they base their sex ratio adjustments on. Where's the scientific studies that shows that sex ratios isn't having a devastating effect on the social and behavioral integrity of the wild horses on our range? And the department is responsible for maintaining their wild and free-roaming behaviors. Where's your scientific evidence that that's not having a negative impact? And also, with that same comment applies to sterilization. I mean, you all need to make recommendations that are not just to, you can do population control without it being sterilizing the horses and without doing sex ratios. But you have PCP, and I think that we've seen it work. Sanctuaries that use PCP, the reproduction rate is, it's 95% effective. And so I think we need to see more PCP being used and stop the removal. And then with regard to placing animals into private care, I urge you all, and this is something else, ranchers, because you all want to be fiscally conservative, I hope. I do not think the agency should be giving financial incentives to get people to adopt horses. And what it says in the strategy document is incentives to defray costs of horse ownership. If they can't afford to have a horse, they shouldn't be taking a horse. They should not be being paid to take horses.
Thank you.
Yeah.